Welcome to another episode of Questlog, a weekly show about video games, old and new. My name is Tyler Everett. This is episode 51, and I got internet again!
Hey!
Joining me, as always, is Brian Maxwell. How you doing today, man?
I am great. We're on episode 51.
51.
Not a good number. Not a good number.
Oh, don't bring us down. Don't bring us down.
It's just a fart past 50, and like my brain thinks it should be a prime number, but then it's not because 17 and 3 and just fuck. It's bad. It's gonna be a bad episode. It's gonna be a bad.
Start
show.
this right. Yeah.
It's gonna be a bad show.
I used to like the number 51.
Yeah.
Isn't,
Well,
there,
Alright.
isn't there like a
It's all
special
gone
class? Isn't there a special class of numbers that is only made up of multiples of prime numbers?
I'm gonna cut you
Isn't
off
that-
right
isn't
there
that-
because that is boring as shit. And Kat Maxwell is here with us, who is not boring as shit. How's it going,
Well,
Kat?
thank you.
Welcome back.
Thanks. I'm not asleep.
That is a good thing to be. And we also have a Luke Phillips with us. Luke,
Hi,
how you doing, man?
I'm fantastic.
You weren't
It's
at
been a
work
good
today.
day.
You had a nice, good Saturday. Got to play some D&D. You told me.
Yeah, this
What?
was a great day. I did some Marioing. I did some Stranger Things 2ing, some D&Ding.
Man,
What's your class?
Monk.
Monk. Okay.
Love Monk. I did not die on the first attack though, which was it almost happened. Like my guy didn't even get a chance to move in the very first battle and almost died.
Get to
Goblin
unsheath his
Archer.
fist.
Yeah,
Goblin Archer rolls a net 20 and almost smote Luke.
First battle, I roll for initiative, get a nat 1. Very last person to go. Goblin Archer gets a nat 20, hits me for like 11 damage. It just puts me right down.
Right in the face. Well,
Yep.
Aaron Krang rolled a nat 1 and he had to show up here too. So what's going on, Krang? How you doing, man?
But I got to do Stranger Things. Stranger Things.
Stranger
as well.
Things 2 hype.
Stranger Things 2.
Krang, we have a theme today of you just like binge consuming. Like binge isn't even the right word. It's like you unhinge your jaw and just cram media down your gullet. You've already finished season 2 of Stranger Things.
Yep.
Finished?
Yeah. It's only 9 episodes.
It's only 9 episodes. Yeah.
I'm only halfway through the season. I did it all today.
I haven't watched a single minute of it yet, but I'm gonna.
You're making poor decisions, Tyler.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I had to work
Aaron,
today.
I have an important question for you.
Yes.
How does it compare to season 1?
I prefer it. I think it's better.
Because at the halfway point, I can tell you that I am enjoying this a lot more than season 1, which is already really good.
I think it's better than season 1. There's a thing that
Finished season 1.
a lot of times
I already started watching. So.
as long as the property is handled correctly, like the original Star Wars trilogy, Empire is always the better film. Once you've established the world, as long as it's handled well,
Ewoks.
I said as long as it's handled well, Brian. Not if we put teddy bears everywhere.
You're getting teddy bears. You're getting them next season. It's happening. We just confirmed it. It's gonna
Stranger
be
Things 3!
There'll be little rabbits or something. It'll be
Did you
fucking.
Stranger Things.
The Ewoks?
Season 2 is real
They
good.
were kind of lame. Yeah. Yes, I do.
No, Ewoks are awesome.
They were knocking down stormtroopers by flinging rocks at them. What kind of armor are they wearing?
Isn't this a thing from like How I Met Your Mother, where you can tell how old somebody is based on whether or not they like Ewoks? Kat, how old are you?
33.
Point proven. Kat likes Ewoks.
I'm 30 and I don't like Ewoks.
Point
Yeah.
not proven. I don't know.
Anarchy.
This is not,
Anarchy.
this is not adding up.
All right,
Ewoks are bad. Stranger Things 2 is good.
Brian's right though. Like they kill them with logs and stuff. It's like people have fucking lasers and
The lightsaber battle between Luke and Vader more than redeems it, though.
Yes.
It works.
Yeah, you're right. Okay.
Are we talking the original or are we talking the Blu-ray edit?
Shut
where
the fuck up, Krang. Don't even.
When the Emperor shows
don't you
up,
bring those
we
words
get
in.
that no again. When Vader's lifting the Emperor over his head to throw him down that hole, he goes, no.
That's post lightsaber scene. It's not even the same
God.
scene. Doesn't count.
Different movie.
All right. Well, before the prequels get brought up, why don't we jump right into what we've been playing?
Yes.
Oh man, so
We've been playing
many
everything.
games. So
Yes.
many games. Like,
We're going to touch on some of these briefly.
it's been just a whirlwind of Bidge games in all of our homes. Where do we start? Do we want to? You guys are probably all dying to talk about Mario, so do we want to just start with Mario?
Do we want to start with it,
It's
or do
gonna-
we just want to wait and
No,
hold off?
I-
And just
It's gonna blow
finish
our
with
load
a
early,
blur?
huh?
Yeah, let's blow that load. You guys, Super Mario Odyssey came out for the Nintendo Switch just yesterday, and I haven't played it yet, so take it away, everyone.
Being that,
you
being
haven't
that
watched Stranger Things 2 or played Mario Odyssey? What have you been doing the last 2 days?
I just recently got internet back. I'm licking my wounds. I'm catching up on other things.
he really might as well just not even exist at this point.
Yeah,
You're not
just
doing those
unplug,
things.
just sign right out. That's a dinosaur.
just-
Guys, there's a dinosaur.
Yep.
Okay, sorry, continue.
Yep. I would say that after playing as much of it as I have, it feels less like a video game and more like an achievement, like an actual step forward.
Explain
That's
yourself.
That's a bold statement.
It transcends video games, is what you're trying to say.
I'm not. Maybe not that far, but it feels as every bit as big to me as Mario 64 did. Like every bit is just wow factor for this game to me.
Arms.
But judging by your silence, I'm alone. So
I think it's very good, and I love all the different little mini puzzles, and exploring is awesome, and
Right.
there's some good music in it.
I don't think it's super innovative, but I love it. It's just a joyous, fun game. There's little secrets everywhere. Like it's a game
Yeah.
about being curious and exploring. It's
Real fun to
and
explore.
it rewards that constantly.
Like you're running around as a T-Rex. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
you are.
So
Fuck up some
So-
chain chops.
So Mario is basically Kirby in this game, right? Like
Yeah.
you just kind of like
Yeah.
suck up powers by throwing your hat on things and possessing them.
Yeah.
I thought I would hate
That's how
that,
the-
but
So the
everything that
devil
I've
gets
seen,
into your home.
right? Like part of me thought that was going to be just absolutely ridiculous, and I heard a few criticisms like early on. I think it was Dan Reichert on the Giant Beastcast who was saying, like, I just want to be Mario. Like, I don't want to be a T-Rex. I don't want to be, these other things. And I felt the same way when I first saw this game. But like after hearing about it and seeing it in action, and
It's handled well. It's not
seems
excessive.
it seems to be, it reminds me of the best parts of Breath of the Wild, where you're like, wow, I can do that. That's
Right.
possible.
It's just like 80% your Mario.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And those are like little power ups that you use to get from
Correct.
different.
It's how
to
you
different
solve
places.
a puzzle, basically.
Yeah, that's cool. And that's kind of the same thing with Zelda. When I saw Link getting out a fucking tablet and magneting stuff around, I was like, I don't want to
Yep.
do that. I want to have a sword and a shield and a bow and arrow and the boomerang and stuff like. But it's kind of the same thing. You use those to just kind of complete puzzles and play with the world more than you do.
Right. You didn't want
It's your
Link going on
toolbox,
Instagram.
is what it is.
Right?
It's just your toolbox.
Yeah, it's cool.
And
man.
there's some of them are pretty cool, like the Goombas and how they can like stack on top of each other.
Yeah,
So
that's
you can
neat.
start off with like a stack of like 4, then jump on 2 more, and now you're a stack of 6, and you get you to a whole new location you can jump to. Stuff like that's pretty cool.
And some of the stuff's pretty challenging, but it seems like you're never forced to solve any one puzzle really, like except for the bosses. Like there's like a few of the optional puzzles were pretty tough, and I just left them. I don't think the game punishes you for that. Like there's like 50 or 60 moons to collect on some levels. So if there's any 1 or 2 that piss me off, I'll just leave them. I don't have to get every one. And I like that.
Yeah, there's a few like doors that you can find, and I don't know if you're gonna want to call them like a dungeon or whatnot, but like little mini
Yeah.
areas you go into, and some of them are real challenging.
Hmm
I was just like, I'm not gonna do this part right now.
That's cool. The what do you guys think of? So Kring and I were talking about this yesterday while we were playing Heroes of the Storm, and he was saying that like it does. Well, I'll let you tell it, Kring, about the nostalgia parts of it. Like you had some pretty high praise for how it handles that.
So there was when you get through it, you see the credits roll. You end up back at the Mushroom Kingdom.
Or-
You end up.
Yeah, well, I don't know if we should go into like the details of it. I was kind of more like the feel of it.
Well, okay, fine. So it ends up. I mean, it's hard to describe how it does it. It just there's a lot of little nods, especially post credit, towards previous Mario games. There was even nods in New Donk City. I was talking
I
about
hear
the
in the
festival
sound
earlier.
a lot. I hear a lot of little sound bites from other Mario games.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And then in New Donk City, they had that whole festival where it's like, kind of let's mix some of the old school Mario games together and mash it all up and let it be a thing. Even right now, you're seeing there's the whole 2D aspect of the way that works sometimes later in the game too is it ends up being like puzzles, areas, ways to get from like A to B, ways to maneuver around obstacles that you might not have thought of at points. It's done in a way that makes you feel like it's nostalgic. It's very Stranger Things too. It's done in a way of feeling nostalgic without being heavy-handed and smacking you over the head with it.
That's
It's
real
just
cool.
done. It's implemented really, really well.
This idea was something they introduced in the 3DS Link to the
And
Past
I
remake.
just learned something I didn't know.
Sorry.
Yep. I
Um,
love the 2D platforming bits, just like the look and the sound. They perfectly nailed the original NES Super Mario Brothers feel, just like the way the jumps work and everything. It's a lot of nostalgia there that I wasn't expecting to hit me the way it did.
That was one of the things I was talking to Kring about, was like when they do these 2D platforming things where the game shifts and you're now playing old school NES Mario on a 3D plane but flat against the surface of it. Like that I thought was kind of silly at first, but Mario is the kind of game where they can get away with that. Like if that happened if that happened in Breath of the Wild,
Right.
if you went in a cave and all of a sudden it was 2D, I'd be like, okay, well this is dumb. Like
Right.
it's cute and all, but I don't want this in this game. And Mario seems like the right franchise where they can do those things. They can make those nods, and it's appreciated, not something that you kind of scoff at.
They
Mario's
can get away with a
just-
lot in Mario.
Yep.
You're just there to have fun. It's great.
Yeah, it's very just light and just fun, and some moments is like it's a little bit of tension, but never just super stressed out.
I think I told Tyler this last night as I found myself playing this game, smiling
Yes.
and being happy.
That's a
more
very good
than
way to
probably
describe
any
it.
other game I've ever played.
That's crazy. That's cool though, man.
It is very cheery and just a very fun and happy game. With this woohoos and all that.
It's a game I'm going to be excited to have on my Switch because it seems like a thing that you can just pick up any time and play for a little bit and
Right.
get that Mario dopamine.
Can I gush for a moment about the Switch hardware and how well that works for a game like this, being able to just pause it wherever you are, pick it right back up instantly, not have any sort of time delay or anything like that. No loading you have to go through, no getting back into the game. You just turn it back on, hit a button, bam, you're right back in the game exactly where you left off. Like exactly. And that is it just works so well with this game in particular.
Can you imagine if they didn't have that? Like if it was everything else about the Switch was the same, but it didn't have that save state feature, just how annoying it would be.
To have to constantly, yeah, I'm finding that out, Luke, with my Xbox. How much I freaking and my computer. How much I freaking hate having to get the thing booted up, load up the app, get into it. You go through the menu, you load your save game. Now you're back. Relatively near where you were, but you kind of have to get back there.
Yeah.
But just being able to jump right back into whatever you were doing is fantastic.
Yeah, like if you had to like go through all of that on your lunch when you just wanted to play for like your 30-minute break or whatever, how frustrating that would be.
Yep.
Has either of you played in a handheld mode?
This game, yeah.
How's it work? Is it
Well, spoiler alert, it was in the bathroom because
That's what you do.
duh. um, it you can do all the same sort of like there's some motion controls that go along with it, and you can still do all of those while it's in tablet mode. So
Okay.
that works out pretty well. And I was finding too, you can do every single one of the motion controls that they show you, like because the game suggests at the beginning that you should use the detached
Joy-Cons.
Joy-Cons.
Mhm.
I played almost exclusively with the Pro controller, and every single like motion that they were talking about, because I did start with the Joy-Cons because I was like, okay, well the game's suggesting it, let's give it a whirl. And then there's some motions that you learn, and I switched to my Pro controller because I just don't like the buttons on the Joy-Cons as much.
You're tiny?
But you can do all of those. If you just recreate all of those same motions that they were talking about with the Joy-Cons, it'll do the same thing.
I will say that's my only real gripe about the game right now is that you're pretty much forced to
You are.
use the motion controls. Like to do the trick with the hat where it spins around you, you have to take your controller and like toss it almost to the side to do that, and I'd rather not do that.
Yeah, I don't do that very often. It's not a real big deal, but I'm with you.
It's not a big deal, but when there's like a circle of coins or a circle of enemies, that's obviously what you're supposed to be doing, and
Yeah,
it's like,
especially since they've got like redundant buttons.
mhm.
You know, X and Y do the
Right.
same thing.
Yeah.
A and B do the same thing.
Yeah, that was weird to me. That all there's some points in the game where I was finding out that all of the buttons do the exact same thing, regardless of what button you press. And I can't for the
Right.
life of me remember what they were, but
Yeah, like
To
when it
have-
tells you to hold the left trigger to crouch, well, the right trigger does the same thing.
right. Or they've got those triggers and those bumpers, and they've got the D-pad, and there's so many different buttons that they could map things to, but they
Mhm.
just don't, and it seems weird. to
Even
not-
the targeted aiming for your hat, you have to throw it and then shake your controller around.
yeah.
That's cool, man. I think I can't wait to play it. I'm kicking myself that I didn't just pre-order it and have it ready to go, but I'm excited. I'm glad that it turned out. It lived up to your expectations, right? Like it seems to be
It's
everything.
surpassed them.
Yeah.
Exceeded mine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's surpassed them by far.
Brian,
That's
I think
really cool.
earlier you said something interesting in chat about liking New Donk City,
Yeah, I just got there tonight, and
because that was one of your huge criticisms about this game when in the trailer was
it's still weird.
Mario around people.
It's still weird. Mario standing next to a guy in a business suit, and they're both people, but they're not the same thing at all. It's weird, but it's fine.
Yeah, I like how they just kind of mix together. Like in the desert area, you find a taxi cab, and this guy who was driving the taxi cab and just got stuck in the sand or stuck in ice or something. But it's like, yeah, it's just normal for him to be there. Then you find a secret entrance to New Donk City, and you're just on a rooftop somewhere. If you guys found that or not, but
I did find that.
yeah, it's just a lot of different secrets.
Yeah.
It's fun. You're right, Crane. It's just a happy game to play.
And there's secrets everywhere in this game.
Mhm.
There's all sorts of when you're running around the world, sometimes you feel like there's empty space, like in lots of areas, kind of like you feel like in Breath of the Wild. But if there's ever any empty space, there's probably something nearby that you haven't spotted, and it is going to get you a moon. Or because when I finished and I'm looking through all of the levels, there are some where I thought like, no, I did a bang up job. I got most of the moons on that thing. And I looked at it, and I can't remember which one it was. One of them, but I had gotten 16 moons, and I thought, oh man, I must have gotten like pretty much everything there was to do here. Nope, there's 66
Oh, jeez.
in that level, and
Wow.
That's insane.
I was like, I didn't even do a third at that point, and there's so much to do in this game.
I'm gonna go back and replay all of them probably multiple times, and
Yeah.
I've done one so far, and it's fun. Like just running around in the world is fun, looking for secrets.
So that was going to bring me to my next thing. So, Krang, you saw the credits this week.
Yes.
This week, this in
Last
the last
night.
24-hour period since the game was released. So beyond the credit sequence, what's the motivator to keep you going? Is there more stuff to unlock?
So I cheated a little, and I looked because I was playing around earlier today, and it said that my thing, your Odyssey, you have to get moons to power it up so you can go to new locations. I had turned in some moons, and it said 52 more needed, and I looked, or 58 more. And I looked, and I was like, okay, that'll take me to 250 total. So I looked online to see what happens at 250, and it opens up this new area where there'll be this like boss rush mode that you'll be able to go through and play all the bosses, and there'll be some moons in that area as well. So there is a lot more content, a lot more options that open up to you, and I don't want to give away. I don't want to do too much spoilery, but you will control other characters.
That's cool. Yeah, that's all you need to say.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's really cool. I like that there's more than just, no, you can keep getting moons for as long as you want, but they're just moons. Like, I like that actually unlocks new features, new modes, new new areas to explore. That's awesome. It's got me pretty excited about this thing, man.
There's like a so I'm sure Brian or Luke, you guys have seen like the big metallic-looking blocks that are kind of like a steel gray color. And you don't know what to do with them. Yep. You don't find out what to do with them until you're like during the final boss fight. Like that's when you learn that ability. So it's going to be something that you'll have to revisit, obviously, after all of that happens.
Okay.
Good stuff. Well, I know, Kat, you've been dying to tell us about your final thoughts on Horizon Zero Dawn for a while now.
Yeah.
we keep missing you before you get a chance to do that. So,
well, I think the first one didn't record. So.
Yeah. Yep. We tried, and technical issues abound. So.
Yep.
So yeah, you finally put Horizon all the way down. What did you think?
The story is just done so well. I felt they really did very well with the character development of Aloy and all the other characters, and when you find out who she is, it's just
it stuck the landing, huh?
Yeah, I've never seen a story take something this way. It's kind of neat because you do see Mecha, and then you see, I don't know, what do you call it? Like almost like indigenous tribes, kind of all in the same game, and how it all ties together at the ending was just fascinating.
That's good to know because the build-up was good, and there are some pretty big questions it asks. So like, hey, we've got these robot dinosaurs running around,
and all that's answered little by little. Like it's not like you have to wait till the very end to get every little piece. As you follow the story, you get piece by piece, but the ending is just, I mean, you get answers before the ending hits, but then you have to,
answers bring more questions.
Right. The ending, I feel the game, like I may play it all over again, start to finish because of story mode, because we only got story mode halfway through.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I kind of skipped some parts just because the battles were just such a pain. So I may go and...
Well, the Frozen Wastes, I think it is, DLC comes out like next. Yeah, it's like a week and a half. So.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, I'm excited for more DLC.
Cool. I'm glad it stayed good all the way through to the end for you, because
it did.
There's a game that I'm going to talk about in a minute here that is similar in some ways and dissimilar in others. Yeah, that's cool.
I might fire it up and finish it at some point this year too. Just put it on story mode and burn through it. It's a gorgeous game, and I love the Like I love the world and the graphics and the.
I like the
character.
relationships between, like, I mean, there's multiple villages, tribes of villages, and all the relationships she builds, and I don't think there's a character other than, of course, the assholes of the game, but they're all well done.
You dislike the ones you're supposed to dislike.
Exactly. The voice acting was good. There are some, I think, because it is such a large, very graphic oriented game, if you don't have, I think, the proper way to play it, there is some glitching parts to it. Like, I was on an elevator and her hair's kind of like doing this weird thing where it's not in the right place.
Clipping,
So
yeah.
it was kind of funny.
That's pretty common. Overall, though, it looks like it
It's
holds
gorgeous.
together pretty well.
Absolutely.
Good stuff.
Play it.
If I had a way, I would.
It's a PlayStation 4 exclusive. So.
PS4
Gotcha.
exclusive. Yep. Someday I will check that
Come
out.
over, Tyler.
There you go.
Yeah, you could just go hang out with Kat and Brian, and then Kat will make you like Swedish meatballs or something. And
Oh shit! Now you're talking.
right?
Now you're talking. That sounds real good.
Hash brown casserole going?
Yep. Well, guys, last week we talked a bit about Shadow of War. Luke, have you played any more Shadow of War this week?
No.
No.
Shadow of War was it started off a little weak for me, and then I loved it,
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
and then completely lost any interest for it.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yep.
Luke lost interest in it because Mario exists now.
That's true.
No, like I haven't played Shadow of War in about a week.
Hours.
You were excited for it last I knew.
Yeah, like from last podcast to this podcast, just all motivation for it just plummeted.
Luke, you paid money for that game. You didn't,
did.
family
That's
share it
pretty
from Tyler.
I did, yeah. Real dollars were spent on this.
So I tried to give this game, and I'm still giving it a fair amount of praise because I did really enjoy 99% of the time that I spent with it. The story is still dumb, but it got way better in Act 2. Act 3 lasts about half an hour, so it's not very long at all. But what I'm here to tell you about today is Act 4, which is kind of what they call the late game or the end game.
First things first. That's too many acts. Keep
Yeah.
it 3. Come on. Story structure's here.
No,
Let's go.
I kind of have a feeling that maybe originally it was, and Act 4 got added in afterwards, or something. Because
Did you just become like a ghost person and jump like over a cliff?
yeah, Talion here, he's a ranger, and he is possessed or imbued, or
Is he Aragorn?
He's got an elf friend, that elf spirit that
Legolas?
kind of helps him. Yeah, it's like if they took
Sure,
Legolas.
it's Aragorn with Legolas, with Ghost Legolas inside him.
Yeah, there you go. That pretty much. Thanks, Krang. That pretty much nails it.
You're welcome.
You get to be both. You get to be both, and you get all his powers, and it's real crazy and ridiculous. But it's good. It's good for the most part. What happens in Act 4 is called Shadow Wars, and basically all of the stuff that you spent the whole game, building up your army, taking over these fortresses, putting your mark on Mordor and the surrounding areas, they all become assaulted, and you have to defend them against progressively harder and harder waves of orcs. It's like the game
Horde mode.
It's like this fortress defense mode where like you build up your whole fortress with these different upgrades and different infantry types and traps and things like that, and then an army comes at you and tries to take it back just the same way that you originally overtook their fort. That's fun at first, but you end the game, if like me, I collected every single item, I leveled up tons of orcs, I basically did all that you could do, almost 100% completed the game, and I was like a level 40-ish. The first 2 waves are somewhere around level 40, level 45, and then you start seeing like level 50 orcs and above, and they're just real fucking hard. And it's at this point you start realizing, like, I don't really have, like, all my orcs and stuff are between level 20 and 40, and they can't stand up to these dudes, and you're not leveling up quick enough to, like, recruit new ones. The game caps out, so, like, if you're level 45, you can't recruit a level 50 orc, so you gotta go find one that's your level or lower. And this is where the whole criticism of it kind of nudges you towards buying these loot chests and stuff to get orcs that are the right level, or buy XP boosts with real money to level yourself up so that you can take these guys down. It turns into a real grind, and it's not very fun. So that's a bummer, because I was really digging this game, and then I just kind of hit a wall with it.
Would you feel differently about the grind if there wasn't the dangle of the here's the little things that you could pay for to make this easy?
Tired of grinding?
No, you want them.
$5.
Come on, buddy.
I'm really glad you mentioned that, because I played this primarily when I didn't have internet access and didn't have access to those things, so that didn't even play a part in it. And I was like, man,
yeah, but you still know that it's there. You still understand that that's a thing that they were kind of pushing people toward.
And that's why I think that's why so many people reacted so negatively to it, because it's a very well-defined line in the flow of the game. You're going along feeling like you're gaining power, and all of a sudden, just bam, you're hit with this, like, oh no, you suck now. All of a sudden, oh sorry, I forgot to tell you that you all of a sudden suck.
These like microtransactions, there's no way it gets out the door, because during playtesting, everyone, I'm assuming, would go, hey, this really drags really badly here. We need to work on the pacing.
And what I would hope
play this way without that option.
If I were to say, okay, let's take that off, pretend that they didn't, what would be the other reason, right? If they were just trying to like keep people playing this longer, because they do interject all of the online stuff that we talked about last week, where you can go into other players' forts and try to take their fort. You can try to do the vendetta missions and kill the orcs that killed them. Those things are part of these community challenges that they post every week, and doing that gets you extra experience and extra gear and all that. And it feels like this is the part where they're trying to funnel people into those things and to get you coming back to the game to log in and do your challenges and all that kind of stuff. It just doesn't feel right for a single player, game.
They're going to tack on a multiplayer mode at the end that you're going to play for months and months.
It would be a thing as if this was like a game that you got in with your buddies to do those things together, and it was a real true community thing where you were, oh yeah, let's go in together and we'll bang out a few of those vendetta missions, or we'll do whatever. I could totally be on board with that, but they've taken the true ending of the game and put it on this giant mountain that you then have to grind your way up just to see the video at the end.
It feels like this is where, because I said before that Shadow of Mordor, at least for me, kind of came out of nowhere. We'd had like a bunch of just mediocre at best Lord of the Rings games come and go, and then this showed up, and you were hyped for it, Tyler. And I was like, this is probably just going to be I'm thinking War in the North all over again. Tyler was hyped for Vito was hyped for War in the North. And it was garbage. Yeah, it was garbage. And I'm thinking it's going to be the same thing, and it turned out to be this really, really good thing. And it feels like maybe Warner Brothers figured out, hey, this is like, people like this, we have to figure out a way to make money on it, because last time we didn't do any of that stuff because we didn't know if it was going to be good, but now we know, so we have to make money.
It's just an unfortunate thing.
They dip their greedy little fingers in our Shadow War soup. What's
that thing that happens when you go up to somebody and like
grab onto their
face.
You brand them. It's the mechanic that basically
it turns them to your side.
Yeah, it's the story thing that basically like says, okay, these orcs are on your side now, and you're using them to fight the Sauron orcs. So,
you can do that in Horizon. You can make machines fight for you too. Yeah.
Hack them basically.
Yeah, you hack them.
Yeah, it's the same idea. It's the same concept. So,
where is this set in the story? Like as far as
They take a lot of liberties with that. It's set between the time of the Hobbit and the start of Lord of the Rings, so it's Sauron's building his army back up, and it's not true to the books or the movies even. It's kind of its own thing that they've played with the time frames a bit there to make it work. But
gotcha.
If you're interested, we have the predecessor to this.
Oh, I have way too many things to play right now.
Yes, you do.
But yeah,
and this is one too, Kat, that once you get into it, this will suck your time.
I don't need anything like that right now because I still haven't touched Siberia. I still haven't touched Mario Odyssey.
Persona 5.
I started Persona all of 10 minutes. So yeah, I don't need more games yet.
It's just I came to the conclusion like I'm not going to be picking up DLC for this anytime soon. I'm not going to be working to try to finish it. I'll watch the YouTube videos.
That's kind of a shame too, because if this game was even just a continuation of the exact same sort of thing with just a couple of different add-ons to it, maybe like they tacked on the online multiplayer thing, they've done some gameplay improvements, you would have been all over this without the disappointment of the last quarter of the game.
Yep,
there's a right way to do microtransactions and DLC. Like if a game's good and I love it, like I don't mind spending $10 on the soundtrack or $5 for some cosmetics, just as just to support the game. But when you hide part of it, hold it hostage.
And I think the problem is
a lot of goodwill.
The problem is that there will be people out here who are way more invested than I am. And it's hard to imagine because I mean Shadow of Mordor is way high up on my list. But there's people who will dump $1,000,
there's people who have a lot of money and not a lot of free time, and to them it's nothing big to be like, oh, I like this game, I don't have time to grind. Here's $100.
Yep, I'll just buy a whole bunch of chests, and
we call them whales.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the whales, and that far exceeds the few people who would be like, oh yeah, I'll buy the soundtrack. Oh yeah, I'll buy the the DLC.
I understand the financial reasons for it. It's icky.
I was listening to another podcast, I think it was the Waypoint podcast, where they were talking about, I think, the Mass Effect multiplayer, where there was somebody who spent $15,000 on multiplayer cards in the Mass Effect 3 multiplayer.
For Mass Effect 3. Yep.
Like, I didn't even know Mass Effect had a multiplayer mode, and there's people out there spending...
I didn't even know people bought Mass Effect 3.
Yeah. So and the quote was something like that money directly financed things like the multiplayer options in the Dragon Age game that came after that, and like that, those things are huge profit drivers. So
people see that, and like you're leaving money on the table in their eyes if you don't try to go after that.
Yeah. As icky as this sort of stuff is, it obviously works because they're still doing it. And it's only going to get worse.
Case in point, too, is you see the same thing with the GTA games. We, between 4 and 5, GTA 4 came out in 2008, GTA 5 came out just over 5 years later. Here we are now, 4 years and change after 5 came out, and there's been nothing about another one.
Yeah.
They're too busy making money hand over fist on their DLC. Why would they even think about putting out a new game?
I think there's multiple factors at play there, but yeah, I agree. It's a weird part of the industry, and I think we're getting to the point where there are lines in the sand that are starting to get crossed, and if it doesn't get reined in and managed, and we don't start, speaking with our wallets, it could get way out of control. So it's a bummer. I don't know. I might play it here and there, but it's definitely not something I'm focusing on right now. I'm more excited about little games like Stardew Valley and whatever.
So question, you've already said that you're not going to get DLC for this.
Mm-hmm.
What's going to happen when the next one comes out in a couple of years here?
I don't know, man.
Are you going to hold off on? Is it something that now this is soured your opinion? You may not buy it at launch. You might, because from what you've told me, I'm already not going to pay full price for this game. I'm going to wait maybe 6 months, get it down the road, and pay significantly less for it than
I mean,
I would have.
Whereas when Shadow of Mordor came out, I was like, everyone needs to just get this game right now. Like, trust me, just go
Right.
buy it. You're going to love it.
Yeah.
This, I would say, yeah, get it on sale. It's not
It's
worth
probably something. It's probably something I'll get on sale, and then unless they've fixed how grindy it is at that point, I'll play up until the point where the grinding starts, and then just never finish and go watch YouTube videos of the ending.
I think what happened for me is, at the beginning, I was like, "Oh, sweet! This is more Shadow of Mordor. This is fantastic. It's exactly what I wanted." And then by Act 3, I was like, "This is just more Shadow of Mordor."
right. It never really gets beyond that, and then it's, and then to know that what's waiting for you is more of that, but wait, now it's just harder, and it's like more punishing than, it just doesn't do a whole lot to.
I think over the next few months, I'll go through and at least, try to get to the end game, see what it's like.
Yeah. Well, I think that's going to do it for that. Brian.
Yeah, man.
I've been dying to hear your thoughts on Divinity Original Sin 2. Dude, this game seems like one of the Brianest games out there.
I have had to use a lot of willpower to not buy this game several occasions.
Just a Brian-ass Brian game.
Yeah.
It is a Dungeons & Dragons campaign.
Oh, this one.
It's a very faithful Dungeons & Dragons campaign. The world is huge. It's high fantasy. It's swords and sorcery. Every NPC seems to have a name and their own line and their own backstory. You can roll your own character, or you can choose from a few pre-made ones. I ended up with a pre-made elven assassin chick who used to be a slave, and then she broke free from her slaver, and her mission is to track him down and kill him. I didn't name her. She was one of the pre-made ones, because the pre-made ones give you a story, and I think they give you more to work with in the game world. There's more backstory.
Yeah, I heard you're better off doing it that way, at least for your first playthrough.
Mm-hmm. So she's got a scar on her cheek that was used to keep her under thrall, and she's got a needle, and she tattoos the names of the people she's going to kill on herself, and then crosses them off. So she's like, "Oh,
yes,
fuck you."
Why couldn't we have gotten that as the Warcraft movie? Just the story of that slaver chick.
That's cool.
It almost sounds like this girl has no name.
It's still that top-down, isometric view. It doesn't look a whole lot different from the old, Baldur's Gate, Icewind Dale days, which is fine by me. That's my roots. The combat is turn-based, and everyone gets points to spend. It works like the old Fallout games. You get action points to spend, and it'll take 2 action points to walk over there, then 3 action points to cast that spell, and now it's someone else's turn.
Gotcha.
It's got a lot of clever interactions as far as the different elements. If someone's standing in water and you shoot a lightning bolt at them, they get
electrocuted.
They get zapped, and poison and oil and fire all interact that way as well. You can make bombs real fast. There's a poison barrel next to you. I shoot that and then lava fireball. And
okay, add this to my I need to play list.
It's really good. I turn the difficulty down to Explorer, and I'm having a blast.
What's Explorer? Just kind of
it's easy combat.
Okay.
I enjoyed the world a lot more than I enjoy the tough combat here.
Question though, Brian, does this take place inside a tent in the woods with Doritos?
It could, Crane.
Could it?
It could.
Yes, let's do it.
5 adventurers.
Just no spicy or purple Doritos.
With the brightest lantern
Gross.
known to man.
Yeah. So I hear that there is a mode that basically allows you to do that, to have multiple people join in and play a D&D campaign through this.
Yep, there's a campaign mode where you can make your own campaigns. I haven't looked at that yet, but
we need to make that happen.
Can I make a character that looks like Guy Fieri with pink hair and a really, really, really dark tan?
Yes.
I don't think you can not.
Yes.
Sold.
Yeah, there you
So
go.
if you're into this kind of thing, it's super well done. I've got to be in the right headspace to play it. Like you've got to be invested. Like it's not a game to play when you're too tired to pay attention or too tired.
Yeah, I'd
to
imagine
care.
this isn't just a thing that you come home and do to, oh, I had a rough day at work and it's time to unwind with some fun video games, because you've got to really gear up for this.
I got
Which
way
is
into
exactly
it.
why I haven't bought it yet.
Played it for like 4 or 5 hours on Saturday night and then didn't touch it all week. And then I kind of, like earlier today, I'm like, I got to get some gameplay footage. I don't really want to. And then I fired it up, and then I didn't want to put it down again. So.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Good stuff, man. Kat, Life, and Brian actually. I hear you got to play some more of the Life is Strange prequel, Before the Storm.
Yes, we both. I don't know if did you finish the first one yet?
I feel like I'm near the end of Act 1.
I finished Act 1 and just got Act 2 downloaded. You follow Chloe's backstory before Max came along.
Sort of.
Well, I mean, before
after
Max came back.
Max abandoned her and
How
left
about
town.
it?
This is during that period, like after Chloe's dad died and Max moved away.
There's no magic. Rewind.
There's no magic.
So sell me on this. Then why would I want to play this if what drew me to Life is Strange was the dynamic of those two characters together and the magic?
You learn more about Rachel Amber. She's an important character in this one. And just kind of what makes Chloe Chloe. A lot of people that don't like Chloe, like I was shocked because Brian did not like Chloe, that he wanted to try it out.
Yeah, I mean, like,
I
hold that game.
Yeah, Chloe.
What?
In spite of all of its flaws, I hold that game in high regards, and I have very fond memories of playing Life is Strange. Like, in spite of all the shit that was wrong with it, I'm glad I played it, and I remember it very fondly. So
The only reason I
play
gave
this, but-
any shits about Chloe was because Max did, and I cared about Max. With these guys, I hate Chloe.
Oh, Brian, I guess, heard like the beginning of the first episode was pretty cringeworthy. But for me, I felt it was like pretty Chloe-esque. So
It can be both of those things.
okay.
I think by definition they're the same thing.
I think they had to establish who she was as a character for people who maybe didn't play the first game. So they leaned real hard into the, like, I'm a rebel and I don't give a fuck thing. Like, really bad. Like, she's on the train tracks and the train's coming at her and jamming on the brakes and pulling the whistle, and she's just flipping the train off and jumps off the tracks at the last second. And then there's a fence that says no trespassing, and she jumps the fence and, you know, gives the sign the finger. It's like, oh, you're such a fucking rebel. Oh, you.
like 80s movie, 80s kids movie rebel shit. Like, that's just totally stupid and benign, but
Yeah.
I love the kind of gameplay this holds.
You're like going through these areas and seeing everybody's stuff and kind of learning about their worlds through their items and
the dialogue choices affecting, you know, future parts of the game. They seem to have replaced the rewindy stuff with this like dialogue mini game, which I'm also not crazy about, where it's like
be as Chloe as you can.
Have a conversation, and, you know, like, you've got to talk shit on them until they give in, and that stuff's not great either.
That's funny. That's funny though that they picked that out, because that is such a thing that I remember from the first game. Is like you'd be talking to Chloe, and all of a sudden you'd say something that sounds pretty normal as Max. You'd say like, "Oh, you know, really sorry about your stepdad," and she'd just lose it on you. She'd just like start like losing her mind, and you'd be like, "Where in the f is this coming from?" And so them turning that into like the gameplay hook kind of worried me, because I was like, that was something I really found abrasive and, you know, off-putting about the character. But I don't know,
Well, Chloe's not exactly stable. Surprise!
Yeah.
She's got reasons, and
Yeah.
it's hard for me to relate to her. I mean, on so many levels, because, you know, she's a teenage girl, bisexual, lost her dad. You know, I
You're
can't
not
relate to any of those
teenage
things.
girl who's
so.
bisexual and lost her dad.
Nope.
Surprise!
You're at least
Super
you're at
rebellious.
least you're at least a teenage girl, right?
Well, on the inside, yes.
Not
Aren't
on
we
the
all?
outside.
On the outside. David's a real piece of shit. Just fuck David. Like,
Yeah,
Is that the stepdad?
yeah.
Ex-military step.
Oh yeah,
Well,
fuck him.
Mhm.
they're not. I don't think they're married at this point in time. I know it goes into when they first met, and
yeah,
Yeah.
Chloe's talking to her mom, and her mom's like, come on, give him a chance. Don't be such a bitch. And Chloe's like, no, fuck David forever. I'm like, come on, Chloe. But then, like, as soon as you walk out and meet him, he, like, snaps his fingers and points at the ground in front of his feet, like, get over here.
we have a friend like that.
Yeah, he's just a real shitbag. And, she says thanks, and, he's like, don't use that sarcastic tone with me.
Like, seriously, you're not. Neither of them are. Like, of course she's not going to give him the time of day. He runs it like a military style. Like, you do what I tell you to do. And, like, this isn't your kid, for one thing. You're not winning any points with someone like that. So, stepdads
Yeah.
out there, don't be douchebags.
I just read the line. We don't have to like each other, but you will respect me. Like,
Yeah.
no, those things kind of
respect
tend to go
works.
hand in hand. That's not
Exactly.
how respect works, and you can't just show up in somebody's life and demand it.
Right. Yeah, well, it's good. I'm glad you guys are liking it. I'll probably check it out once they release it as a whole package. This one's being released in episodes, like the first one, and
Yeah, if it's
I-
3
Yeah.
episodes.
I like being able to just kind of binge these
Yeah.
these adventure
The second
games.
one,
So.
like, the second episode came in just a couple of weeks after the first, so I don't think it's going to be a real long wait.
I hear the next one's. I think it's going to be 3 episodes, and the next one's only like
Yeah.
a week or 2 out. So
So,
that's pretty
yeah.
cool. I like that.
It doesn't have the magic of the first one for me, at least not yet. But I mean, that's pretty typical of any follow-up thing.
We get to see Frank.
Nice. More of that world is good. That game stuck with me even after the ending didn't, and
Yeah.
it's pretty.
Yeah.
It's pretty
You mean
special.
you didn't? You mean you didn't like having all of your choices throughout the game being invalidated, Tyler?
Even if the ending is bad, I can still enjoy the journey. Like, that game had a lot of intense moments.
It did.
And it got me thinking. The otherworldly supernatural stuff was done in a very interesting, mysterious way, and I.
Just to keep away from too much ending stuff.
Yeah,
Or-
I'm just saying that it's it kept me guessing about what was really going on all the way until the end, and then
Seeing the hurricane.
there were still questions after that too. So it's not all bad. It's
There was
definitely good stuff.
Was not
Um,
her.
Okay.
Anyway, speaking of games, video games.
Old and new?
This is a segue.
This is a segue. Hey, Kring, what's the Turing test other than a way for robots to prove that they're not robots and trying to be human? Looks like Portal.
So listen up here, Luke.
Not yet.
Listen up here,
Yes,
Luke.
I'm listening.
How do you feel about Stanley Kubrick's 2001: Space Odyssey?
Oh
I
my
was
god.
listening. What'd you say?
How do you feel about 2001: A Space Odyssey?
Oh, open the pod.
Well,
Pod the hell.
you may hate me on this, but I didn't get very far in that movie.
Oh boy, never mind. This is
I hate you.
basically, yeah, this game is basically if you mix that and Portal together, you get Turing test, and it is the puzzles are real good, but there's a lot of morality. What is life? Do you choose the individual or the greater good? There's like all sorts of those themes kind of mixing together in this.
Life is strange.
Yeah. There's
Yep.
there's some sort of feel to some of your. You don't really have choices or anything like that. It's mostly just you solve puzzles and then you get the story as you go along, like in Portal. But you start to, get to see some of those themes come in to play, and it's just a really well done puzzle game first and foremost.
Kind of reminded me of Westworld a little bit with morality and choice and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, you get that. Like there's an AI who is very reminiscent of Hal, like almost to a T is Hal, and he is trying to like you'll hear recordings of people talking to him where he's like, "But I am alive," and they're like, "No, like you don't have feelings, like you don't think." Or maybe that's what it is. He says, "I think," and they're like, no, you don't have feelings. You're not alive. You don't think like we think. You think like a computer thinks. And they're kind of going back and forth, sort of debating with him about what really is true thought versus programming.
Yeah.
But
Westworld.
yeah,
There's
so
2001: A Space Odyssey, but like Hal kills the whole crew because they're not, like they might fuck up the mission. The mission's too important, and humans can't be relied on to be logical and reasonable all the time.
Right.
So Hal's taking over.
There is a very, let's just say there are some parallels with the ending of this game.
Gotcha.
You get to control the AI here at the end of the game and make
Do you
some
become
choices.
a psychedelic space baby at the end?
No, you do not
I'll
become a
play it,
psychedelic
it's
space
okay.
baby. But yeah,
Worth
so
playing.
this is very much worth playing. This is boy, the story hit me. It was very engaging. This is a game that because it's not very long. It's one of those 4 or 5 hour games that have a fantastic story to them, and I played through the entire thing in one sitting. So
Good stuff,
I
man.
highly recommend this. And the fact that I got it. If you have Xbox Live, seriously, go and get it right now. It is still free for the next 2-3 days with your Xbox Live subscription. So you could go and just get it. What is it? $8.99 for a month of Xbox Live, Tyler?
Oh, I wouldn't know. I haven't had that
It's
in 2
currently
years.
it's on sale on Steam. I think it's $8 on Steam right now for their
There you
holiday
go.
sale.
There you go. Totally worth it.
Good stuff, guys.
Mm.
Well, next, why don't we talk a little bit about holy potatoes, what the hell? Which just sounds like gibberish.
What happened? What just happened?
Holy potatoes.
Yeah, what the hell?
What just happened?
What are you talking about?
You just exclaimed like "Holy potatoes! What the hell?
Oh.
Something break over there?"
Yeah, it broke right into a game. You're on fire tonight, Kring. Boy.
I know, right? It's
Just
real shit jokes
Just real
all over the place.
Cringy all of a sudden. So, Holy Potatoes is a game about potato people again
In hell.
in hell, and they're not in space, and it's not a weapon shop, but they are in hell. So what do you guys do? Tell me about what happens when you're a potato person.
So Brian, you and I both played this last week, right?
Yeah.
So
You are sacrificing, if I'm not mistaken, you are sacrificing the sinners, potatoes that come down to hell, and then cooking them and feeding them to the evil gods.
What?
Yep.
And they want certain kinds of dishes.
Boil them, mash them, stick them
Yeah.
in the stew.
So full disclosure, we were given review keys by was it the developer or the publisher?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. By both. So yeah, because we talked about their other game, We Are in Space, so we had some review keys for it, and I didn't put a whole lot of time into it. It was
Not a good week for it to come along.
Yeah, but
Mario and Divinity.
but yeah, the whole premise is basically it's a
you feeding
cooking
Loki?
game.
Yeah.
You have to make ingredients, and then the different gods want different meals, and you have to make them, and you're racing against the clock to basically
What is this?
get as many meals done as possible.
I want
Loki.
to play this.
I'm betting.
Cute.
Brian,
It
correct
is
me if I'm
cute.
wrong here, but I'm betting Loki. He seemed like exactly. He seemed like sort of like a potato in like a puff pastry sort of casing kind of man. He seemed like mashed potatoes mixed with a pastry. Let's go. That's what Loki
Loki,
seemed
yeah.
like. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
It does remind me quite a bit of the Weapon Shop game,
Mhm.
in that each thing you make has different traits. Like in the Weapon Shop game, you're having like a worker work different stations. So if you want higher strength, you send it to this one workstation, or if you want higher agility, you send it to a different one. And then customers would come in and order different weapons. This has a lot in common with that. It's very simple so far. I've passed maybe 3 or 4 stages. It's starting to get a little more frantic, and I think that's the experience that are like they're selling here, is the very frantic,
Mhm.
you got to keep your ingredients coming in, and everyone comes in and orders, and they've got a timer that's running down, and
yeah, you're basically trying to juggle 3 or 4 different things at once.
So like cooking mama with potatoes and hell.
I never played Cooking Mama, but
Yep.
yeah. And the puns, they're like, if you like puns. Ooh,
Well, what's the cooking game
we
we
got 'em.
played?
I think the main character's name is Sweeney Tots, which fits because he's, killing people and feeding them to other.
The demon,
I
the demon
like
tater of Fry Street. Yeah.
There's also Goragon Yamsey.
Oh my god.
Yamsey, yep.
That was pretty good. The one thing I love about these games is actually the writing. Even though it's full of puns, which are normally not my thing,
Yeah,
I
Luke
love
hates puns.
the
Can't believe
writing
you would
and the
love this.
jokes and the pop culture references in these are just really spot on. They do a fantastic job with that.
Did you say they're spud on?
Heyo.
Thank you. I'll be here for the rest of the night. Oh man.
This seems like it would be a very good mobile game.
Yeah.
I could see that.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gorodon Yamsey is my favorite so far. That's pretty
Yeah,
great.
it's good.
I haven't got to try it yet because like I said, just got internet back. But yeah, this seems like another good, just fun thing to like. I'm just gonna shut my brain off and get some potato puns in me for a little while. And
If I come home and I can't summon the will to play Divinity, maybe I'll kill some potato folks.
send some poor spud souls right to Satan himself in a nice mashup. That's pretty good. Hey y'all. Hollow Knight released some DLC just the other
you get
day, and
It's free.
it's free. It just is another free update because these guys are awesome. Team Cherry, just please put it on the Switch. Put it on the Switch right now so I can take it with me wherever I go. So anytime I need to feel good, I just hug Hollow Knight to my chest and keep him real close. It doesn't seem like it's much. You're going and hunting down these little things, these little baddies on the map, and turning them in to get boss fights. But they've added new charms, and it's another reason to just go explore this awesome little bug world. And I just love it. I love every little minute of it.
Yep, I went back into it and I couldn't find the new DLC, but I explored some areas I'd missed and saw some pretty neat things, and I got pulled back into this world, which I just adore.
Yep, I will keep playing whatever they've got. So, I don't know, man. I can't say much more that I haven't already said. The new DLC is interesting. It's like this circus. There's like this. I'm gonna fast forward a little bit here, actually, so you can see some of it. But yeah, they're like these circus bugs, and the music that it plays during all of it is really great. And it gives you like this little. There's a charm that you get that makes this little bug creature follow you around, and you're kind of leveling it up and powering it up. It's
You got
kind of
bugs
the
for
point
your
of it.
bugs.
Bugs. I got bugs coming and bugs going. So yeah, I don't know. I can't imagine it will take me much longer to get all the way through it. It doesn't. Okay. Doesn't seem like there's a ton of content there, but it's
Tyler, see me after
$0.
class.
Yeah. Yeah. Another excuse to get through this world is. Yeah, it doesn't take much. Hey, go play Hollow Knight. Okay. That's about all you need to do.
Hey Tyler, go play Hollow Knight.
All right, see you guys. Shutting it down.
That's our show, everybody.
That's that is gonna finish it up. Hey, speaking of games that recently released DLC, Brian, Darkest Dungeon added a new class.
Yeah, it did. It added a shield breaker. It's a cool class. It's fun. It's very defensive. A lot of movement. Like a lot of her abilities will move her forward or back in the formation, which can be a mess if your party's not built for it, or it can be super fun if you've got a mobile party where everyone can move around. I think there's a few new enemy types. If you're not a hardcore fan of the game, there's nothing here that's going to change that or strike you any differently, but for me, I love this game, and I will buy anything that they put out for it.
Is it on the
Full
Switch yet?
stop. No, but they did announce it.
Come on, get with it. I want to
So-
sit in bed and play this game.
Yeah, this would be perfect for the Switch.
This is
It was $4 for it. Some people had a problem with the price, but I'm not one of them. I want more characters. Like the variety in the characters is a big part of what I love about the game. So, $4 for new characters, not a problem for me.
How much was the base game?
It's 25.
$4 ain't that bad.
I've put, I don't know, like 250 hours into it. So, this is one of those where, like, I'd like to give them more money.
Yeah,
It's like 10 cents an hour, Brian.
it's weird, right? Because this kind of struck me as odd as well, and this is my line of thinking. So I know in the Steam Workshop you can go in and download new characters all the time, and they're varying degrees of quality. Like obviously some of them are more well done than others, but some of them look like they were made by the developer and feel every
there's
bit as
good ones
fleshed
out there.
out. And those are completely free. And I don't know, it strikes me the same way that Bethesda selling armor sets and stuff for Skyrim does. Like that is something that the community's been doing for years and years and years for free, and they're just coming in and going, yeah, but what if you could pay for it? I don't know.
I guess my answer to that would be that this game isn't that game, and
Sure.
I don't know, like I would rather have something official, from the company. Like I trust that more than I trust some person's mod. Like if someone made a mod of this character and put it up for free, I'd be like, nah, no thanks. I'm just gonna get the real thing.
Don't mod your game. You won't be able to play it again.
I think that there's a difference too between them. They're adding a new character class. Like that feels very much like a DLC. Like, hey, we've come along and we've decided to add this character class, as opposed to like they're not selling you God mode or something like that. That feels far more mod than a new character class.
I think there are 17 character classes now.
Okay. Well, it's good. I'm glad that it's feels like a
still playing it.
worthwhile purchase, and you're getting more time out of it. Yeah, for sure.
I still play Darkest Dungeon at least once a week.
Mm-hmm.
That's great.
Wow.
Oh, that's cool, man. Looks really well done. What else do we got here? Holy potatoes. Oh, Kring, South Park. The fractured butthole.
The fractured butthole.
Yeah. Look at that.
Formerly known as Butthole of Time.
Yeah, it turns out that if you try to tell South Park that you can't have the word butthole in your title, they'll find a way.
Love finds a way.
Buttholes always find a way.
So South Park is South Park is a strange one for me. It's very Shadow of War for me.
Interesting.
It starts off. I find that the very beginning of this game was my favorite part of the entire game. It started off, you're still doing the fantasy. You're still basically doing Stick of Truth. It's like the very next day after you've beaten Stick of Truth in South Park, and these kids are still playing along with that. You're trying to go to Cartman's house, and you're fighting elves along the way, and it's all more of the same, but they're changing the combat a little bit. And then, once all that's done, you get into it's a very abrupt shift. Like, you get to Carmen's house, and they're like, why are we still doing this? We're on to superheroes now. Like, you guys are dumb. Let's move on. And then you're on to the superhero stuff, and none of that lands as well for me as the high fantasy does. So the game's still pretty good, but the jokes don't feel as creative. It feels very much like a sequel. In the way that they start to like rely heavily on the same stuff over and over and over again, as opposed to, and maybe this is just from my original playthrough on the first South Park, but it felt like there was constantly like they were moving you to a different topic, different things all the time. You were never revisiting stuff like the same sort of motif, and it just feels like this is more of the same in that it's more of the same, and it's not as different as I thought it maybe would be.
You
And
finding?
even go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, are you finding that like the repetition? Like, I think this is kind of a theme. Is like, yeah, they're giving us more of the same, but you're maybe tiring of that quicker than you did the first time that it was brand new and shiny.
Well,
Because
and
you've already been
not
down
even
these roads.
it's not even that. So back in this game itself, they're repeating a lot of the same things over and over. Back at the beginning, which when I first played it, I thought, man, this is awesome. This game is so good. Just picked up right where they left off. There's this point where they pull this dragon out. They summon the dragon, and they open up their garage door and wheel out this big ass cardboard dragon on a radio flyer, and it's stupid and looks like these kids made it because they did, and it makes you like go, oh, that's cute. These kids made this dragon and whatever, and then you're fighting the dragon, and all of a sudden, one kid goes, car, and then you realize that you're standing in the street, everybody moves off the street, this car drives by, and he goes, get out of the street, you damn kids! And then they go back to doing the battle. And I audibly laughed at that moment in the game. It's a real good joke. It reminded me of when they were playing hockey on Wayne's World, and they keep having to move their hockey game for the cars.
Game on!
But like that felt like a very cute, very good, very well thought out joke, but then it shows up over and over and over and over. And I've probably seen that same joke used about a half a dozen times at this point in the game. And it loses the charm. At first it felt charming, it felt clever the way that they implemented that, but now it doesn't feel that way anymore. It just feels like, oh, this is just an ongoing thing in the game. And it actually kind of, more than anything, breaks the game, because you're in the middle of this battle, and then now all of a sudden the whole battle stops. Everybody walks off the battlefield. Car goes by. Now we walk back on, and the battle keeps going, and it feels more tedious than funny anymore.
Gotcha.
They've done it so much.
I heard there's like a shit in a toilet mini game that you have to do, and like that's really funny the first time, but then you have to do that like dozens of times.
It is nigh on impossible to do some of them with a keyboard mouse, and I ended up playing with a controller because it made it easier. That instead of having to like toggle all these, like have my hand, you'd end up having your hands in like these weird positions on the keyboard, trying to get all of these buttons, and then also there were some things you had to move the mouse for while you're trying to like move your hands in this weird position on the keyboard, and it was just way easier to do on a controller. So I've been playing on a controller. There's also like all these fart abilities. Like I remember in Stick of Truth, you're taught these fart abilities, and then you almost never have to use them. You just they only ever showed up in battle, and you basically never used them. You just had to use them for the story portion, and then you just fought the battles by fighting the battles. Now it's like there's puzzles all over the map that have to be using your fart abilities.
They have to
now
be
they're
farted
real.
on. Yeah,
they're real good. Like there's this one where to hack something, you have to expose the wires, and then Butters shoves a hamster up your butt, and you fart that hamster into there, and it freaks out in the wires and shorts everything out, and then you've hacked it. There's another one where this was a joke that I thought was funny at first, but it kind of got old. Lava. There's Lego bricks scattered across the ground, and that's lava. You can't get past it. For that, you have to use this sandblaster ability, and because they don't have an air compressor nearby, Stan has the sandblaster and shoves the pipe up your butt, and you fart and make the sandblaster work. Which all of these are funny the first time you do them, but then you do them 6, 7, 8, a dozen, 24 times, right, and it gets real old. And every single time you do it, there's this little setup animation, and there's this whole thing that goes along with it, and
It's like the summons in the old Final Fantasy games.
Yeah, yeah.
Amazing the first couple of times, but
Yep.
by the 10th time, you're just like, can we fucking skip this, please?
Gonna go make a sandwich
Exactly.
while Odin comes down to hit this fucking guy. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. It suffers from that. So I don't know. I'll finish it someday,
Gotcha.
but I've kind of stalled out on this
Mario.
right now.
Mario.
Yeah, and
Right.
Mario came out, and sorry, not sorry. Stranger Things came out. Sorry, not sorry. I'm just gonna, this will sit on the back burner for a while until I come back to around to it. Combat's really good.
I noticed they changed it, like a grid where you move people around.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. You get to move people around, and then your abilities have ranges to them, and you can do you can actually swap out abilities. You end up getting multiple classes that you can pick from, and then you can not hot swap, but you can swap them before battle. You can swap out abilities and then have different things based on what you think you might see, or if you've already tried the battle and died, you can tweak your character class, and you can swap in and out allies to maybe tweak your battle style based on what you've seen. So it's good, but
It's not great.
Yeah.
It's not great. And the first one was great.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems to be a little bit of sequelitis with a couple of these games this year,
Yep.
and sometimes I think all I want is just more of the same. Just give me more of that, and then it turns out that I want more of the same, and then a little bit of icing on top. I want a little bit of
Yeah.
a little something else. Keep me
Honestly,
going.
I think if they had kept it, to be completely honest too, I think if they had kept it as the fantasy,
Mm-hmm.
and then you get to they've tweaked the battle system, maybe done some of that, and we have a new story that goes along with the high fantasy. It probably would have landed a little bit better for me. I don't know. There's something about the superheroes thing that just makes me roll my eyes and not want to deal with it. And maybe that's because I know they're parodying the whole DC versus Marvel with their movie franchises deal, but there's been so much of that over the last decade that they make jokes about how superheroes are played out, but superheroes are really played out.
Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah, stepping on their own toes a little bit there.
A little bit, yeah.
Gotcha. Well, I'm glad you're enjoying it. I'm excited to see how it ends for you if the ending makes the journey worth it. But yeah, it seems like it's just kind of an all right game.
Oh, sorry. One more thing. Speaking of crappy DLC, I pre-ordered this game because you get this Towley bonus thing in it.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, oh, sweet, Towley's going to show up. Maybe I'll get to use Towley as a playable character. Maybe he'll get to be on my band. No, all that happens is you get these little bubbles that pop up of Towley
Oh my God,
telling
like
you
Clippy?
hints and tips about the game, and he's basically Clippy,
shit.
and it
Oh,
drives
no.
me insane.
You got hosed.
because what'll happen, Tyler, is
That's
he'll
so
show
funny.
up. He'll show up, and he'll be talking over cutscenes, or he'll be talking over like gameplay
That
dialogue,
makes me
stuff
so
that you need to
happy.
hear that's going on in the game. Towley's up there in the corner, just chit-chatting away, talking over everything.
Oh, that's
Fuck you.
hilarious.
When we do our best character of the year conversation, I want you to remember Towley, okay?
Yeah.
But you forget him.
Don't forget to bring a towel. Oh, it's so good. All right. I just really quick want to let you guys know that I Stardew Valley never really did it for me when I played it on PC. I kind of, it was all right, but I never really loved it.
Are you going to tell us that it's a Switch game?
It's a Switch game, you guys. It's perfect on the Switch. There's something about, like we were talking about earlier, being able to just pick it up, put it down, lock the screen, come back whenever, and I'm right back where I was. That is really, really, really good for this game.
Yep.
Especially because there is a day-night cycle, and you have to go to bed by a certain time, or else bad things happen. You lose money, you lose energy, you can't do as much stuff the next day. So you're constantly trying to maximize your time. and being able to just lock the screen, pick up right back where I left off, and finish a day out is super, super good. And yeah, it's a joy. You're doing your farming, you're talking to people. I'm finding out that the Abigail, purple-haired girl, likes to go adventuring and has a secret sword in her drawer. And we play Super Nintendo games together, and I give her amethysts, and it's really good. And then I go water my crops and do it all again the next day. It's real good. It's very enjoyable. So yeah, if you haven't picked up Stardew Valley, maybe try it on the Switch if you got one, because it's real good.
Are you also going to get this on the Switch, Brian?
Already done.
Yeah.
Already done.
I think it was the 4th time I've bought the game.
Come on, Kring.
Yep.
Do you want to buy it on my Switch so you can continue to give them more money?
I think we've spent $60 on Stardew Valley so far and gotten way, way more out of it than that. So
Yeah, we have it on the PS4.
and twice on the
computers, yeah.
Someday it'll
It'll
come
work
out on
it.
mobile phones, and Brian will buy it on his mobile phone.
There you go. There you go. It would work. And then the only other thing is that we played Heroes of the Storm a little bit. They're doing a Halloween event. It's all right. There's some cool new skins and stuff. Won some, lost some. It's Heroes. But
The brawl was pretty good.
oh
I
yeah,
like
there's
the
a new
brawl.
brawl. It is
Yeah.
pretty good. It takes place on the haunted what is
Towers
it?
of Doom.
Towers of Doom, and the Headless Horseman just like spawns pumpkins around the map that you have to go fight over, and killing a pumpkin does damage to the core. It's very fast paced. The matches take like 6 or 7 minutes, and it's like all brawling and team fighting. It's good. You start at like level 10. It's worth checking out. I also just on a whim booted up Overwatch again, because they're also doing a Halloween event. Blizzard's always really good at this stuff.
Spoiler alert: Tyler's a sucker for a Halloween skin.
I do like a Halloween skin, and I got really lucky with all the freebie loot boxes from playing the arcade mode and just logging in and whatever. I got a cool Viking skin for Torbjorn. Like, just
Did you
So
get the
good.
Frankenstein skin for Junkrat yet?
yup. They dropped the
You did?
They dropped the old skins from last year. The
It's a
new
real
ones
good
are
one.
the Halloween ones are usually 3,000 credits, and now they made all the old ones from last year just 1,000. So I had some saved up and went in there and picked up Junkenstein, and I think there was another one I wound up getting because they're really good. They're really well done. Oh, the Mercy one. I got the Witch Mercy skin too. So, and then they brought back the cool mode, Junkenstein's Revenge, where it's just a horde mode. You're fighting these omnics, these zomnics, I think they call them. And it's 4-player co-op against the computer, and it's just really fun. I played that for a couple hours straight.
Is there more of those types of modes in the game, or is it just sort of like special event things? Because if there was that kind of a mode all the time, I would be more apt to pick up and play Overwatch as opposed to it just being like a player versus player all the time.
It's something I have to look into because I think it's just a holiday, like event-based thing.
Gotcha.
But they did recently add a game browser mode. So like the old school PC shooters where you could just get into a lobby with people and decide what you're going to play. They have that now, and they have like a server browser thing. So there's a chance that this kind of stuff could show up in that way, even if it's not part of their normal matchmaking hopper. It could be like kind of like a custom game thing.
Gotcha.
So I don't know for sure though if that's how that works, or if it's just kind of the standard games, or what kind of modifiers you get to play with in those. But I'm with you. I for some reason like this kind of co-op player versus environment gameplay I really find appealing. So
Yeah, me three.
Yeah,
This
I
is
like
this
it
was
too.
really, really fun. I enjoyed this mode.
yep.
Not PvP versus. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I hope they either have this stuff available to play year round or make more of these and keep them as a more constant option for people. Because the other one that they had too, it was like a first strike event or something. It was similar. You were like rushing to different points and taking out robots along the way. It was done really well too. So yeah. So Overwatch still running strong. People are playing that thing like crazy, and it's good. It's fun. And I think that's all we got this week, guys, for for games. That's all. That's all. Not very much.
That's it.
That's all we got. So let's get into the news. Close that out real quick. So yeah, we don't have a ton of news because, man, we've just been playing games instead of reading about news, but there's a pretty big one that is going to affect people who care about matchmaking a lot more than, single player stuff, but it's kind of alarming nonetheless. So Activision patented a matchmaking business model, I guess, technology that encourages players to buy microtransactions. Did you guys all get a chance to read that one?
Sure, since Activision has done this, and Activision is never known for milking a franchise for every single cent that they can possibly get their hands on. It'll be done flawlessly.
Capitalism, ho!
Yeah. So the way that the examples that I read about were an instance where, say, a new player might be matched with a player who had purchased a certain weapon that complements a class that they tend to like. So say you usually play a sniper class, right? The first few matches. The next one that you come across you might get matched with a veteran player who has purchased a really good sniper rifle. And you might just get decimated by that guy. So you get to see like, oh, that guy's, doing really well. What's he got? And you inspect his gear, and he's got this sweet sniper rifle that's available for, $2.99 or whatever. And so say that new player then makes that purchase, right? They go out and buy that new sniper rifle. The game can then match them against players who that type of weapon might be extremely effective. So it can work these things around in a way that encourages the idea that you just made a great purchase, and it puts things in front of you that you're more likely to purchase.
For a minute.
Yeah. What do you guys think about that?
How is that a patentable thing?
Yeah, I'm not sure about that.
Software patents just always feel icky in that they're patenting like an idea of how to do something as opposed to actually patenting a thing.
Yeah, I'm far enough out of my element there that I'm not going to speak about it because I don't know anything, and that'll be obvious as soon as I open my mouth.
Yeah,
but
patents
all
are
that
just ridiculous when you look at them.
the whether or not that's patent worthy is beside the point. Other than like this whole system feels wrong. It feels icky and bad and terrible, and is going to be another thing that makes me not want to play Activision games.
And they're saying like it's never been it's never been implemented. It's not it's not in Destiny. It's not being used.
Yeah.
Are they saying it's never been implemented
because we're not going to use it?
Are they saying it's never been implemented because it's not in Destiny, but it's coming out in the new Call of Duty game? Like,
I don't think they've said it.
I don't think they ever would.
The article makes a good point that there are lots of times where companies will research something, they'll put a lot of R&D into an idea, and they'll patent it whether they decide to use it or not, so that, hey, if that type of thing shows up later down the road, they can wave the patent around and go, oh, sorry, you're using our proprietary technology there that we developed, and you need to pay us. That's
kind of like
fair enough.
we spent all this money, we might as well at least slap a piece of paper together that says that we own this.
Right.
Have something to show.
I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, this sounds like a absolutely suicidal thing if they ever implemented this and people found out about it.
Yeah.
It seems like the worst use of that kind
Sure.
of
Matchmaking
technology.
is there to make money, not there to get the best matches possible.
Yeah.
That's the way you get players to never play your game again.
Yep.
Yeah.
I know. Sorry, Luke, go ahead. I see you got something brewing.
I'm going to play devil's advocate here.
Oh.
So there is also the theory of just having this patent so that no one else can ever use it.
Sure. Yeah, good guy Activision.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just
Good
I
guy
mean,
Activision.
I know Activision isn't normally ever put with high praise or anything, but They could just have someone just sitting there who was like, hey, we could patent this idea. It only doesn't cost a few dollars to file for a patent. Let's just do this.
Here's the question. Is Activision Frodo or is Activision Boromir? Who do we trust this power to be in the hands of?
And on the other hand, they could simply take this patent and throw it in all their games, and even worse, they could license it to other companies as well.
Even if they are Frodo, though, Frodo couldn't finish the job. So
yeah.
Lord of the Rings spoilers.
Yeah, there's so many variables here, and
sure,
and it's a bad system. No one. That's just.
Look, I didn't, polish up my pitchfork and pre-order a torch here, yet. I'm reserving some of that because it looks like it hasn't been implemented yet. But it does worry me. If there's anything that I think would piss off every gamer, it's this. Like, matchmaking is something that we participate in, and we trust that these companies are just trying to give us a good match. Like,
this is where you're wrong, Tyler, because there are those gamers who will do all sorts of things like network manipulation. And remember, who here played Halo 2? Network bridging was like a huge deal back then. You would screw with your connections so that you would get into the game like sometimes even a full minute before your opponent would, and then all of a sudden you'd show up in this match and you'd be down 20-0 because your opponent has just been able to run rampant without you being in there, and force yourself to have hosts so you get better connection. There are people who will just do all sorts of things just so that they win, because winning is the only thing that matters.
Right. So then now I tell you that you didn't win that match because the other player was better. You didn't win that match because, any of that stuff. You didn't have any agency over that. The system in the background said, well, you just bought that sniper rifle, so you get to win this match because we're going to put a bunch of noobs in front of you that don't know how to respond to it, and you're going to feel like a god because you spent $4.99.
Right, but I'm a reasonable adult who finds that gross and weird.
There you go.
Thank you, Brian. I'm a relatively reasonable adult who finds that gross and weird, and that's not a thing for me. But I'm not their target demographic here. Their target demographic is somebody who is going to spend a ton of money.
Find this gross and weird. I can't imagine. Very few gamers are going to be like, "That's cool."
Pay to win is already a thing. If they implement it into the right game, if they implement it in the, I'm thinking, Call of Duty is already
prioritizing advertising over matchmaking quality.
It's
Call of Duty is a player base already filled with people who are willing to cheat, buy accounts, sell accounts.
Whoa!
Like,
you're making some pretty strong.
Do all sorts of terrible, horrible things. Play Justin Bieber over their headset during the game. Like that. This seems to me like there would be plenty of people who play that game all the time who wouldn't care and would just start spending money to get that good feeling.
No, but you're assuming that this is benefiting them if they just spend money. This is also going to put them into pools where when they're not the favored, when they're the ones that are getting shit on because the other team maybe just bought a rocket launcher and the game decides they need a win because they need to feel like the powerful one. That's something that I feel like you're going to rail against.
I got cheated.
This system sounds like it's going to be something where, like Brian said, for a minute. So you'll buy something, and then immediately after you make that purchase, this game's going to put you in some matches where it's going to make you feel like a god because you've made this purchase and it wants to reinforce your purchase. So what will you do the moment you start losing? Make another purchase.
I don't think anyone is going to sign up under that, but maybe.
When in Rome.
Somebody's phone is interfering with the thing. It sounds like.
Tyler, I would like to believe that is the case, but there are enough terrible, horrible, shitty human beings in this world that there are people out there who will spend money just to win and just continue to spend money.
I just don't think that the system technically works that way. As the point, I think that
Well,
everyone, if this were to be blown wide open, everyone would see. We're getting
those
really bad
people have to
feedback right
have.
now. I don't know who's causing it. It's bad. I
Shouldn't be here.
think it's on Kring's end because it cut him off while he was trying to talk. Put your phone away, Kring.
I'm shutting it off.
There you go. Good call.
Those people who are spending money need to have lots of people who are not spending money. And
Right.
I think that's a system that's going to chase everyone else out of it, and you'll be left with, well, no one.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they'll have all the little kids who think Call of Duty is the cool thing to play.
Well, and like let's not. I want to get out ahead of this. This is not
Yeah.
technically in Call of Duty. Like this is all just a potential, but it's a potential that I don't like. And given the current buzz around loot boxes and that kind of stuff creeping into games it shouldn't be in, this just feels like another step in the wrong direction. So hopefully it dies because of all the bad press. Hey everybody, let's talk about some emails. We got emails. I don't have a bumper for it, so I'm just gonna
You could just sing one, just make it up on the fly.
I'll find some.
Deep doop ba doo doop deep doop ba doo doop. There you go. That's the email bumper.
Now, Brian, you need to save a clip of that and just play it every single week we have mail now.
There you go. There you go. Hey,
Will
so
do.
this one comes to us from Not Mike Monroe. It's a little suspicious. There's only one person I think it is, but technically it can't be that person. So
No, it's very clearly not him.
yeah.
So.
We know who it isn't.
The bummer.
We don't know who it is.
Right. So anyway, the email reads, so I have a question for you guys and maybe gal this week. Hey, spoilers, there is a gal this week. Is there a game you've ever played that's been so difficult, either be it just bad mechanics or actual game difficulty, that you wanted to rage quit, but for some reason you stuck with it? This question was inspired by Alex, that damn game. So, yeah, I'll let you guys take the floor first. Anything that you've just like wanted to quit, but just
Final
force
Fantasy
yourself through it? Oh, really?
Ask Brian how I was at the end battle.
Yeah, you weren't
Brian,
happy.
how were you at the end? There you go.
Weren't you underpowered for the final boss when you got there, and then would have to go and just grind for hours to level up to do it?
Yeah, and I didn't want to grind for hours, so because that again is like 100+ hour game, and I'd put so much into my characters, and oh my god, I was so pissed off.
And by that point in the game, you don't want to run around doing random battles. That's the last thing you want to do at the end of a 100-hour RPG.
Yeah, you don't want to grind.
No.
But yeah, I think I finally fought through it and won. But it was, I think I threw the controller a couple times and maybe cried a little.
Yeah,
I did that for
I'm trying to remember the name of the game that I had that was like this. I always forget it. It was somebody else go. I'll come back to it.
I'll have a more recent example is Cuphead.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
There were many times. Now, Cuphead is not a game that I will end up beating. I just know that I'm not good enough to do that. But I've got 2/3 of the bosses beat on the normal difficulty setting, and the rest of them beat on the simple one. But there were many times where I said, I hate this game, screw it, this is too hard, I can't do it, and then the thing pops up to tell you to, you can retry or exit to map, and I'd click retry. Like, nope, let's go again. Like this is too hard. And then you die and you'd feel, God, fuck this game, it's too hard, I can't do this. All right, let's go again. But
One more time. One more time.
And it's the best one more time game I think I've ever played.
or exit to map and then go right back in.
Yeah, you exit to map and then you're thinking, can I go try another boss? No, I know how this boss works. Let me have another go at it. Let me have another crack at it. And it's so that one for actual difficulty for sure.
That's it seems to be a lot of people's reaction to Cuphead, so
Yeah.
I'm not really that surprised. I'm gonna need help because I cannot think of this game to save my life. It happens every time. This is how unmemorable it is. I stuck with it way longer than I was supposed to, though. So help me out here. It was Norse mythology. It was like a game that was in development for like 10 years, but it was like Norse futuristic stuff.
Too Human?
Oh,
Too Human. Thank you. God, I purposely have tried to block it out of my brain, I think.
It's a
that
pretty forgettable game.
Was so fucking bad, but I stuck with it for way longer than probably anyone should have because I was like, this is a cool world. This is a neat idea. This game is supposed to be very, very good. And it just sucked and it wasn't fun. And I finally remember there was a moment where I'm like in this giant spire area and there's shit firing at me from all directions. And I'm like, the controls suck. I don't know where I'm going. I can't do anything. And I'm finally going to pry this game out of the disk drive and never look at it again. And I just, that was...
Would you like to actually know something, Tyler?
Yeah.
You hold the world record for completing the most of that game. Like nobody's ever gotten further in that game than you.
It was very, very bad. And yeah, it's a bummer. But yeah. There you go. Too Human. I'm curious about LX because that was one that I've seen a couple advertisements for, and I've heard absolutely zero press about it at all, which makes me a little bit suspicious that it's just, a very mediocre game. No, this is Too Human. This is
Too Human.
Yeah. Yep. And it doesn't hold up at all. It looks very bad right now.
Tyler, it didn't hold up when it came out.
Yeah, it didn't hold up at the time either. Yeah, it was just...
I don't know that I've ever constantly rage quit in a game and went back to it.
Yeah.
Never?
I don't know. Like, I'm trying to think. Like, nothing really sticks out. I'm assuming something that was like multiplayer based would do that for me.
Well,
like,
there was never anything where like bad mechanics or bad something like I'm thinking, didn't you have a lot of like hardcore complaints about No Man's Sky at one point, like in the beginning, but you stuck with that?
Yeah, but I never like rage quit in it. Like I never just closed out of it and opened it right back up. Probably any like MMO that did multiplayer and like PvP, that would definitely make me rage quit. Then you go right back into it.
Gotcha.
Like a bad Warsong Gulch would make me just rage quit and then leave and just queue right back up.
Like, okay, fuck this game, and then you shut it down, and then you're like, well, I better log back into WoW because gotta do my dailies, and that next match I'm gonna.
God, I don't miss doing dailies.
Oh, Heroes of the Storm.
That's a very good point.
Out loud, why do I play this game? Why do I play this fucking game? Said that aloud many times.
It's usually after about our fourth loss in a row when we're all just sitting here like, okay, we're not having fun. But
our luck is gonna change.
And then
the next one has to be a good, right? We have to.
And then there are those days where I'll have lost 8-9 in a row and go, no, I am playing this game until I win a match.
And
just
then
refuse to quit.
And then 3 more
It's
later,
like
we go,
Battlestar
okay, I guess
Galactica.
we're just gonna load up the AI and beat up the AI to complete this quest, and then go to bed real angry and salty about it.
Sit down at 9 o'clock with the win 3 games quest and go to bed at 1 without having finished it. Yeah.
Yep. Been there many a time. Good stuff. We got another really good question here from Andrew, and he said, what video game would you say defines you? So I thought at first this would be kind of fun to pick for ourselves, but then I thought what would be better is if we told each other what games we thought defined each other. So I'm curious. Kat, you were kind of the hardest for me because immediately I think of Life is Strange when I think about cat games. But
Yep.
I don't know if that's if there's something else that you feel would be a more apt description for you.
No, that would probably be the one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily have to be your favorite game either, but it's just earlier I was like, this is a
Your game.
Brian ass game. And That's
Darkest
Darkest Dungeon. Yes, for
Yep.
sure. Like that's the Brian game.
Maybe.
What about Luke? What do you think for Luke? I'm torn on
Luke is an enigma and is very hard to pin. And
Yep.
Luke does not have. Luke
Two
is
things.
doing a very good job at having eluded definition.
I was gonna say Portal
Well.
because there's like very few games that I know Luke holds in extremely high regard, and Portal.
But
is
I
up
actually
there.
loves Portal.
Yeah.
Yeah, Portal and Portal 2 are just
Rightly so.
absolutely
High five,
fantastic.
Luke generally hates most things, but actually
That's
loves
like-
Portal.
Yeah. You're not wrong.
Tyler, I think you would be Skyrim for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard to argue with. Yeah. I was like-
100%.
And Kring, you will forever be, what is that one called? Forza? What is it? The car racing one?
Forza's pretty good. I was thinking either Forza or Sonic because there's very few people that I know that can like
Yeah.
beat Sonic 2 in a sitting
Mhm.
In less than an hour.
and like feel good about it.
Like, not want to kill themselves after?
That and if for some reason like the Genesis era stuff I always equate to Krang just because I was playing so much Nintendo in that time of my life. Like I had a Genesis but like I played maybe Sonic and that's it. And then I found out that Krang didn't even play a lot of these games until he was a full-grown adult. And it makes me sad. But then I go, but he sure did love that Sonic though.
He had Shining Force.
Yeah.
I did have
Strider. We
Shining
had
Force.
good times.
Yeah. And you get to go fast. Oh, there
Yeah.
you go.
Pretty much going fast is my deal.
Yeah.
I want to go fast.
Yeah. Well, that's good. I think
You-
that's pretty good.
I'm-
I can get on board with Skyrim, obviously.
I'm probably also the only person in the world who will look at any Sonic game during their pre-release stuff when they're showing trailers and thinking to myself, but what if it's good?
Try and see the best. This is it.
No, I think
Guys, give
Kring-
Shadow
people
the
that do
Hedgehog
that
a
is
chance.
Also, the developers say that as well.
There you
Oh,
go.
but what if it's good?
Yeah, but what if it's good? What if we're actually making a good game?
All right, here's the deal.
They just don't know.
Sonic, he's a werehog. But hear me out, what if it's good?
He's edgy. He's got a gun.
Sonic, he's got a sword this time, and what if it's good?
That's okay.
This sounds like this. To be honest, this sounds like a South Park gag.
Yeah.
What if it's good?
But what if it's
I'm-
good?
Picturing a bunch of developers in a conference room right now with a PowerPoint presentation, and the guy up front is just like, "What if it's good?"
I dig it. I think
I will admit though, Shadow the Hedgehog, Sonic with a gun, Sonic as a werehog, Sonic with a sword. I drew the line at those. Those are games I have not even touched at all.
That brings us real heavy into our last little thing here that I want to talk about is that November releases. I saw Sonic Forces on here. It's coming out November 7th. That's like days away. Are you stoked for that, Crane?
No, I'm not stoked for it. But what if it's good?
You'll never know unless you buy it and play it.
Yeah, mine comes out November 7th. Oh, yeah. Oh, I know.
Frozen Wilds.
What's Frozen Wilds? What's Frozen? Oh, that's the
Horizon
DLC. Okay. Yeah, Crane, I don't know. Sonic Forces looks like it might be what you were talking about when you said you were done with Sonic Mania. Like, it seems to blend the 2D stuff, but with the powers and stuff you get in the third, and then seamlessly go into the 3D stuff.
It
Looks
does.
kinda
It
good.
actually looks.
The
It
Explorer.
looks kind of like the next evolution of Sonic Generations.
Yes, Cat.
Skyrim VR?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I
Like
don't.
Skyrim for the Switch?
Yeah. I'm not going to be playing either of those things.
Bullshit. Tyler's getting it on the Switch. He just isn't going to tell us because
Star Ocean?
he doesn't want us to shame him.
I feel like once you like
Tyler,
What?
let's be
What's up?
real.
hmm.
You can play Skyrim while taking a poop.
Okay,
You're gonna
so
do
like
it.
if Skyrim is cocaine, right? And like it's really good, it's high quality stuff.
Skyrim on mods is heroin, and
Skyrim-
Tyler's tasted
yes.
heroin.
Skyrim on mods is like I'm in a truck stop bathroom with a belt around my arm, just like mainlining that shit, and I can't go back to just like, oh yeah, you want to like smoke a J or like, you know, I can't do that. Like, it's like
Probably a good thing you don't have a PlayStation 4 because Skyrim and VR, like,
oh,
you would
that
just
I
dock
would
the
that I
headset
would
on,
never
just
leave. Yeah,
starve to death.
just you guys would be coming over and be like, oh god, like I don't think he's moved in 4 days. Like he's got sores all
You
over
would-
him. He's just,
You would turn into the kids. Here we go with South Park references. The World of Warcraft episode. You would turn
Yes.
into them.
Mom,
yeah.
Have your mom
Toilet!
show up with a bucket that you poop in.
Mom, bathroom. That would be it.
Yeah,
So,
there's nothing. I'm kind of happy to say there's nothing really must have.
oh, Animal
here that
Crossing
I
Pocket
see.
Camp.
I am cautiously excited for that.
Brian, I'm shocked. The Xbox One X is coming out, and you aren't even the least bit hype.
It is an exciting event.
What is
Think
the
of all the
Xbox
games.
One X?
It's just the next
Sure.
powerful Xbox with no good games on it.
So
like
they
you
just
can,
put an X on the end of it?
and
Yeah.
it's X and not S because that's not confusing.
it's got more X's. It's got
What?
it's
looks-
double
You
the
can play
X.
your
just-
old original Xbox games on it.
It's the most Xbox. It's the most Xbox ass console name ever because it looks like some 13-year-old kid just wanted their gamer tag to be Box One, and then just framed it with a couple of X's.
Hey, Krang.
Yeah.
What if this Xbox
It's
is
good.
good?
But what if it's good though? So
What if 2018 just all the best games come out on Xbox?
I don't want to care about it.
so hey, Kat, I'm surprised you didn't see Siberia 2 is coming to the Switch. There you go.
Where?
It's November 30th. Siberia
Oh.
2 on a
They've
Switch.
got the first one on the Switch already, I think.
They do. How
They're
much is
like-
it?
I don't know, but they're like 15-year-old adventure games. I'm curious how that's gonna.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a
fly.
lot of mechanics with that because I have Siberia 3 and I need to play that one.
What I am actually more excited about than Skyrim is Doom on the Switch. I have skipped out on Doom on the PC for however many years it's been out, a year or two.
It was last year.
Oh, okay. Well, for some reason, like I don't have anything like that on my Switch, and that kind of appeals to me. Having like a real serious
It seems like
shooter.
not a great way to play it.
Yeah, but what if it's good? I don't know.
I hear it's fantastic. Like if you have emotional ties to the old Doom, I hear this is just spectacular.
I get to
The
claim. Like,
music in it is really, really good.
see, that's exciting because I am just barely old enough to be able to say that I actually played Doom and Wolfenstein 3D and those gritty ass old PC shooters when they were, you know,
Gritty asshole PC.
gritty ass
shooters.
PC shooters. Yeah, and I have very, very fond memories of those games. So
I've heard of Doom, but I've never played it.
it was something just unreal at the time. Like it was so
No, that was
gory
unreal.
and
Yeah.
demonic.
That was
and
later.
it was one of
Completely
those things.
separate.
I couldn't believe my dad let me play it. I don't think my mom knew that I was playing that game. It was probably good that she
Shooting
did
demons.
because I was. Yeah, you're just blowing apart demons and you're going
Yeah, I
into
would've been
hell.
like-
It's good. It's real good.
Did they have to do much like tweaking to Doom to get to run on the Switch?
I don't
I
know.
have to think so.
The Switch runs Unreal 4 games. Like it has that as a thing. So I don't know. I'm sure that there's probably some stuff with the frame rate and textures. They're probably, you know,
Nah, I bet they'll
lower
look
end
unreal.
versions of it. But don't know.
According to this, it looks like it's only going to run at 30 frames per second instead of 60.
okay.
So yeah, they had to tweak it for sure.
I feel like as long as a game is at 30 frames and you don't like, you have that crappy thing with some PC games where it'll run at 60 and then you'll have the frame rate lag down to 30 and you really notice it looks terrible. I think as long as the game is running at 30, the whole time consistently, it's not something I really notice unless you jump up and then jump back down and you have that sort of back and forth. That's when I notice this kind of stuff.
Well, if you lose, if you drop 5 frames from 60 to 55, it's not that big of a deal. But if you go from 30 to 25, that's a big deal.
Right, yeah, that is.
Yep.
So
yeah, some more good stuff, but I mean, damn, like I think we're all pretty solid in some new games to tear apart here for right now. So
yeah, we had a busy month, 6 weeks or so.
Mm-hmm.
We had game after game after game. So
there is one on this list though that stands out to me that I'm very disappointed with, and this is another thing where I'm going to make Tyler not figure out who the hell I am right now. But that Mario Party game on the 3DS, I want that on my Switch, and I'm really bummed that it's not coming to Switch because Mario Party is kind of my jam.
wouldn't the Switch be like the perfect platform to have Mario Party on?
You're not wrong, Luke. It feels like it would be the
Joy-Cons.
perfect platform for this game.
pass the Joy-Con around, just
Yep.
Yep.
I've watched more Mario Party than I've played.
I was literally sitting in the break room at work today showing a coworker like, hey, look at this, I can just pop these Joy-Cons off and set this on a kickstand, and he's like, that's so cool. He was really impressed with it, and it's like, yeah, like they just put out Super Smash Brothers and Mario Party and like just print more money, Nintendo. Just do it.
Put your multiplayer games out of here, and hey, they've got Mario Kart and they've got Splatoon 2, and those are both games that are good, but not really their prime multiplayer games that are really their big money makers.
Yeah, it's funny. I brought my Switch to work on Friday because Mario's being delivered, to work. So I played it on my lunch, and so many people either on lunch or walk past my cubicle like, "Oh, what's this thing?" I show them, they're like, "That's just so awesome."
Did you remind them that if they were subscribers to the Questlog podcast, they would have already known what that is?
There you go. Tell all your friends. Yep. All right, guys.
Spread the word.
I think that's gonna finish it up for this week. Thank you so much for everyone who jumped into the chat room to say hi, sent us an email, talk to us about it in the break room. All that stuff is very much appreciated, and we are excited to come do that again for you next week. We may even have some Steam keys to give away next week.
What?
You might be able to get some free games out of listening to our show. We haven't hammered out all the details yet, but send us an email at mail@questlogcast.com, and you may have a chance at snagging some free games. So we'll put more details out about that. You'll probably find out about that on our Twitter, which is @questlogcast. You can get a copy of the show. Copy of the show? That's not what I meant to say.
The original. Send you the original.
We'll send you the original show at questlogcast.com.
We don't send out copies. Every single person gets one original. Tyler has to print them by hand.
Kring was staring straight into the fucking camera. It just threw me completely off. I was like, what is wrong with it? Anyway. I think that's going to do it, guys. Thank you so much. Episode 52. It's where it all comes together. Check it out next week. Until then, stay safe.
Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye.